Hey guys, Danny Shade Show. Hope you guys are having a great Friday. Weekend's almost here. I am over here in Stillwater, Oklahoma at Pioneer Medical with Dr. Smith. And I kind of found out something new that I didn't even know existed, which is always fun. But we're going to find out a little bit about Dr. Smith and her approach to medicine, which really, I think, from just the little bit that I've heard, was the original approach and the intention. So, Dr. Smith, Danny Shade Show people. Now, back to my original question before we hit the button. What is it that you do?
So we call it direct primary care. I'm a regular MD, medical doctor, nothing new age or, alternative medicine about it. But the way we deliver that healthcare is a little different. So most people who have used the insurance-based system have run into the roadblocks that it presents one way or another. Either you call up because you need an appointment and you can't get in for 2 or 3 weeks, or you go in, the visit itself is fine, but you get a surprise bill 2 or 3 months down the road. And then maybe even after you pay that, something else shows up in the mail, a month later. And you're like, I thought I already paid that. Why is it? So there's like no transparency in the pricing. There's no convenience. And it's frustrating not only from the patient standpoint, but from the physician standpoint. And so direct primary care has been a physician-led movement that has really been spreading like wildfire across the country of physicians who have said enough is enough. We want to get back to practicing medicine and spending time with our patients and not creating these billing documents for insurance companies who do their best to screw both sides of the transaction and keep as much as they can in the middle for themselves as an investment vehicle rather than a mechanism for providing care. So what direct primary care does is now allows me to get out of my insurance contracts. I don't belong to any insurance contracts at all. Save for one small exception, and we can talk about that later if it comes up. But so my patients will sign up as a member of our practice, similar to how you'd sign up to a gym membership. And you pay a monthly membership for your care so that I can budget what my expenses are going to be and how I'm going to pay my bills. And on the opposite side, the patients can budget for their the majority of their medical care. It is not insurance, but it helps you to know how you're going to get the majority of your primary care from your family doctor. So once someone's a member, they can call, they can text, they can email. We have same or next day appointments available almost every day. If I'm out of town, we're available remotely, things like that. So it changes the transaction from being totally transactional between, okay, you've got to pay your copay, you've got to do this, to more relational. I don't force anybody to come in when they don't need to, where in the old system, you kind of felt obligated to because you have these conflicting.
Well, you had to have the doctor's visit.
You have to have the doctor's visit to create that transaction with your insurance company, to charge a copay, to charge whatever the code is you're going to send to insurance. And this way, if somebody calls in, they're like, hey, I think I got poison ivy. I'll say, shoot me a picture of it. They'll send me a picture from their smartphone that goes straight to their chart. Like, yep, that's what that looks like. Where do you want me to send it in? And we're taken care of. Nobody has to miss school or work.
Yeah, that's efficient.
So it's made the practice of medicine a whole lot more fun. And I think it just makes a whole lot more sense overall. It's not for everybody. There's some people who are super happy with, hey, I only go to the doctor twice a year and I pay my $60, $80 copay, whatever the case may be. And I'm good. Why would I pay you $100 a month to come see you? And that's what our fees are: $100 a month for adults, $50 a month for kids, with a $350 per month family maximum. So,
really?
Yeah.
$350 a month family maximum.
Yep. Now you can't add on aunts and uncles and great grandmas.
No, immediate family.
Immediate family.
Yeah.
And we've got
you don't want to be that guy. So I got a second cousin who's really got some issues.
Right, yeah. Can we just add him on for free? Yeah, no. He's his own family.
So let me give you a real world for instance. So a couple weeks ago, I had a spell where, and a lot of people on my show know because I've already talked about it, where I passed out and busted my eye, split it open, bleeding. I had 5 stitches, but it was like 4:30 in the morning. So I had to go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What, do you want to go to Perry?" And I was like, "No, not really." I said, because they'll just send me to Stillwater. And they're like, "Probably." And I said, "So, okay." So I went to Stillwater. And I'm in there and I explained to the lady, I said, "Look, I pay cash for everything." I said, "So please do me a favor.
Yep.
Don't just run me through everything to just run me through everything.
Right.
If you think there's a legitimate reason, okay."
Yeah.
They send me an $11,000 bill for 5 stitches, and I still walked out of there not knowing what happened, why
Right,
I was in
right.
there. How would that have been different if I would have been here?
Yeah. So I do turn off my phone from about 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. But after that, other than that, I'm available. So say 4:30 in the morning, you need to make a decision one way or the other, whether you're going straight to the hospital or not.
Yeah.
A lot of times during that first visit, we kind of talk to people about what their situation is. Do you have other insurance? Do you have multiple other, options? Some people have Indian Health plus a commercial option, or maybe they're not at all. So then we let you know.
So
what we can
my 4:30
offer.
thing might not
Yeah.
be fair to you.
No,
so
that's okay.
let's say it's between your
Yeah.
hours of operation,
Yeah.
because I could have probably held out until
6
exactly. You know what I mean? So let's say that happened and you were available. to
Yeah.
contact.
So typically then we would talk it through, hey, did you lose consciousness? Because there are times where I can tell people if you were in a car wreck and your leg's about to fall off of your body because of a major accident, you need to go to the emergency room. There's times where it's absolutely appropriate. But if you're like, no, I didn't really completely lose consciousness, or I didn't necessarily hit my head, too hard, or just have this. So we would say, come on in, we can stitch you up. If I was worried about your brain, from a head injury, we can arrange for CAT scans outpatient. Sometimes, even if there is a need for immediate care and it doesn't have to be the closest emergency room, there are cash-based emergency centers in Oklahoma City and Tulsa that are more cash friendly than some of the more traditional ER spaces. So Oklahoma Hospital and ER in Oklahoma City and Tulsa Hospital and ER in Tulsa are two that are set up to provide more transparent pricing to the cash customer. In most hospitals, and I can't speak to what Stillwater Medical did with yours, but once you get your bill, a lot of times they will negotiate for cash pricing and discount it quite a bit. But again, that's then at their prerogative whether they decide to discount it.
Yeah,
or
and this
not.
isn't a Stillwater Medical
Sure.
bashing session, because they did a great job and they're super
Yeah.
sweet people. But I'm just curious about the contrast in,
Sure.
in services.
Yeah, no, it really depends on each individual patient's needs and resources. So if somebody says, I got Medicare and I don't want to pay cash, I want it to go to my Medicare bill, I'm like, then we don't need to find you the best cash-based MRI for your knee.
Yeah.
Go get it done and charge Medicare for it. But it gives me the opportunity then to even know what the prices are, because when I was billing insurance, I just ordered what I thought was needed, but I had no idea of the financial implications to my
Nobody
patients.
did.
Yeah.
Nobody does really
Yeah.
still.
And
MD Save helps me a little
MD
bit.
Save helps a lot. There's a lot of cash-based pricing out there, and I now make it my job to kind of know where the best cash prices are. And so now I can kind of direct people like, okay, now how much is your deductible, and have you met it this year? And if not, you should probably pay cash for these labs rather than send it to your insurance. Or no, we should probably get this MRI, like say, for cash. And if you don't mind driving to Oklahoma City, it's going to be $200 cheaper than it'll be, local or whatever. Because a lot of what direct primary care physicians get pretty passionate about is that, part of what we have pledged to do for our patients is to first do no harm. But direct primary care physicians have realized that includes first do no financial harm. Because
Which can be sometimes the
Yeah.
worst harm, because it
Yeah.
trickles down into
Sure.
big decisions for families.
Exactly. So trying to make sure we're not part of, bankruptcy because of healthcare expenditures and things. Because one of the old jokes in medicine is, what's the most expensive tool in medicine, and it's the doctor's pen, because we can get carried away sometimes, writing too many things that end up costing the patient more than intended. So.
I have some guys in business that are kind of mentors of mine, and they joke around, but they're serious when they say it. And they're like, no matter how successful you are, you're only one major illness away from bankruptcy.
Right.
They said medical is the one thing that can literally come out of nowhere and wipe you out in a heartbeat, and you don't even expect, and you can't plan for it because you don't know when it's going to happen.
Which is, I touched on it earlier when I said direct primary care is an insurance. And so having something catastrophic is still helpful.
Do you guys help with those plans? Maybe
we
point
can direct
people in the right
direction. I don't sell them, but we've got contacts in the industry that can sell different health sharing plans. We've got, there's some indemnity plans, like all these names that get tossed around, but different ways of having that catastrophic type coverage. And like I say, different people are going to have a different, preference for one over the other. And there are even, like I said, isolated plans that will cover your direct primary care membership. There's one insurance that's in Oklahoma called Mending Health, and they will pay for your direct primary care membership, whether that's here or in a different, locale in Oklahoma. But that is the only insurance that I know of in the state that interacts with direct primary care directly like that.
So if I'm paying $100 a month, because I always get an upper respiratory infection every year. I need a Z-Pack and a steroid shot and all the normal stuff. I mean, that just it's like clockwork.
Sure.
So if I'm paying $100 a month and something like that comes up where it's just I don't feel good, I got something going on, I need antibiotics or I need something like that, I come in, I call, set an appointment, come in, you do the basic kind of check everything out, make sure everything's normal. And all of that is just covered?
Yeah, there's no additional fee. Now, one of the other interesting things we can provide is we have an in-house pharmacy. And of course, we don't keep any controlled substances here, so nobody get any ideas about like breaking in to find your Norco or something, because we don't keep any of that around.
Yeah, leave my steroid shots alone. It's a different kind of steroid.
Right. But that was another thing that, like I say, when you're practicing insurance-based care and you're just trying to keep up with the treadmill of the fast-paced routine, you don't realize what the actual cost of medications are either until I started buying wholesale and providing them directly to my patients at a discount. So I don't mark them up any more than just provide for the bottles and labels. But like a Z-Pack is $5, and steroid shots are like a $14 charge. And so those are the only incidental type charges that then show up on the patient's invoices the following month, is if they got their blood pressure medicine from me for a couple bucks for a 3-month supply. That shows up on their invoice, or an antibiotic or something like that.
So I can get my blood pressure medicine and my cholesterol medicine from you?
Yep. And it's incredibly cheap. So that undergoes a big markup as well on the retail side.
Why don't more people do this?
I think change is really scary. I truthfully was probably making more money when I was doing the rat race of insurance-based medicine, but I knew I just couldn't keep it up. Seeing 30 plus patients per day. So when you work that into an 8-hour workday, I mean, each of my patients was only getting about 7 minutes of my time. So if you've ever felt like your doctor's not listening to you, it may be that they want to, they just can't. They're like, I got 5 people waiting in the waiting room. I got to keep this thing going. And then our workday doesn't end at the end of the day, because obviously you get the bare minimum done in 7 minutes to see a patient. Then you take that, because you are creating a billing document for insurance more so than anything, you got to make sure all those buttons are clicked so that they don't have a reason to reject your claim, and so you take that work home with you. And I remember from when I was practicing insurance-based care, I'd have 30 documents at the end of the week that were still not done. And my husband would ask me, hey, what are we doing this weekend? And my answer almost every time was like, I'll be charting. You and the kids, I don't know what y'all are doing, but I'll be in the office charting. So it feels like a leash and, a ball and chain and of sorts when you're practicing that type of insurance-based care. So I feel like I can practice medicine the way I wanted to when I went to medical school, and and kind of a naive young doctor, I feel like I can do that again and spend 30 minutes with each of my patients, which doesn't seem like a heck of a lot of time, but it's like a luxury.
No, it's an eternity compared
yeah, in the typical system we have now. And my nurse, Joni, has been with me for the entire 18 years I've been in Stillwater, 19 this year, I guess. But she knew that when people came in, a lot of times people trying to be efficient, they'll bring their list in, and it might have 6 or 7 things on it. And she just knew. She's like, I see you have a list. You're going to have to pick the top 2. We only got time for 2 today. You'll have to schedule another appointment if you want to come back and talk about these other things. Well, the crazy thing about that is if somebody is talking about their headaches and their indigestion and their high blood pressure, and we only get to 2 of those things, it's like trying to solve the puzzle with only a couple of the pieces. Because a lot of those things that maybe you as a patient don't put together, if I heard the whole story, had the opportunity to hear a whole story, boy, it all starts to make sense. I'm like, well, wait a second, this all sounds like this could be anxiety related. What's going on here? And then, you get to maybe the root of the story that, yeah, you're right, my kid's having trouble and, we don't know what we're going to do. And you're like, okay, well now, rather than just handing you a blood pressure pill, we're having a whole different discussion, So it's just a much better way to practice, but people are just really scared of change and potentially the impact to their own pocketbook as far as maybe not making as much as they would be if they were seeing 30 people a day in that.
I can't understand though how $100 a month and severely discounted medications and on hand with a in-house pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just paying your premiums alone is far more than that. And then having to deal with all the headache of, like you said, the extra pop-up billing that just shows up. You pay one at the table and then all of a sudden, boom, here comes another one. And it's like, and then you got to deal with insurance companies, which is a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so that way when I look at my budget, from the patient standpoint, they can budget what they're going to have to pay for
the
primary care for the
forecasting
year.
is awesome.
Yeah, but from my standpoint too, I've got 2 full-time staff and 1 additional physician here that I hired last year, and I know that I'm going to be able to make payroll, and not trying to drag more people in the door, force them to come in for a visit they may or may not need to be seen face to face for, because I can predict what my income is going to be, based on how many patients I have. So,
are you full?
I'm pretty full, yeah.
So you don't have a lot of room for more? Because I have a feeling there's quite a few people that watch this that are going to be interested.
So we are accepting new patients. My practice is fairly full. Dr. Balasundram is the doctor I hired. She was practicing in Lawton prior to Stillwater, and she went through the same kind of crisis of care where she was like, I can't. If this is what family medicine looks like, I can't continue to practice it. It was tearing her up and kind of leading her to have a lot of stress that she was suffering from herself, medically, and ended up with issues. And so she was just going to quit practicing medicine until she heard about direct primary care. And then she's like, well, wait, this takes away a lot of the things that I hated about medicine. If I could do it this way, I think I could do it. So Dr. B, as we affectionately call her, joined the practice last year, and she's just been tickled pink to be able to spend time with patients, dig into problems, and really, that's one of the critiques that people in the healthcare business have of direct primary care is they're like, well, each doctor's taking care of so many fewer patients because we're not running people through like cattle. Like, you're contributing to the healthcare crisis because you're going to have a doctor shortage. Well, we just saved 1 doctor from leaving medicine altogether. Yeah. So any patient she sees is 1 more patient than she would have seen.
Doctors have families. Yeah. They want to see their families.
Yeah. So I think to some degree that's a bit of a farce, that argument that, we're making the actual problem worse, because
I think the big hospitals are trying to turn you guys into just hourly employees.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. And it's made, anybody that's coming up through the system as, a pre-med student at OSU or somebody that's graduating medical school here in the state or going to residency, choosing their profession in medicine, when they look at the, factory, like say conveyor belt type medicine that
Corporate medicine.
Yeah, corporate medicine has become. They don't want to do primary care. And they're like, "Are you kidding me? You guys get run over and abused. There's no way I'm going to go into family medicine, pediatrics, internal medicine. I'm going to do a specialty where I can protect my time. Do my
Not to
work
mention malpractice
Yeah.
insurances.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
it's ridiculous.
I don't even know how people can almost afford to operate.
Right. And so it forces maybe medical students who had this, idea they want to come back to, their rural roots and practice medicine in their hometown or whatever. It feels like it's not possible. And I feel like direct primary care makes that possible again, lets people come back and hang a shingle and serve their community in a way that's viable rather than feel like they're beholden to corporate medicine. So I think it could actually stimulate a resurgence in the regular
Black bag doctors.
country doctor, yeah.
Country doctors.
And we have pre-med students that come and rotate with us from OSU, and I'm on faculty as an adjunct faculty with both OSU and OU med schools. So we have medical students come through here as well that get to see a glimpse of kind of like, oh, so you can actually, primary care can look like this. Okay. So hopefully
Well,
we're
it gives them
seeing
an alternative,
that,
an
kind of
option.
turning the
Yeah.
tide maybe a little bit.
Very cool. Well, so switch gears just a hair. Obviously, we know that you're a doctor. You're obviously good at what you do. Your practice is amazing. You're full. You've had to hire on extra staff and extra doctors. But what about Dr. Smith?
Yeah.
I mean, what do? You got a husband, kids.
Yeah.
What
So
do you do
as
for
we were
fun
talking
when you're
before
not
the-
charting?
You're right. And I don't do that nearly as much anymore. Now the documents I put together are solely for our communication. If I'm going to send you to a specialist, or if I'm going to, go back and look at my notes a year later, so we remember what happened. There's none of the button clicking, so that's refreshing. I don't spend my weekends charting anymore. But we were talking before the cameras went live. My family and my husband's family, we're both native to Newkirk, Oklahoma. That's where we grew up. I was a rural kid. In fact, Newkirk was going to town because I lived out in the middle of nowhere, kind of.
Brian Hobbs.
Oh yeah, he's a little younger than me. But
He's a buddy of mine.
And he's the illustrious mayor of Newkirk.
Yeah, I know. That's why it was funny when he said that.
But if you triangulate between Bremen, Newkirk, and Peckham, that's where my house was growing up, was right on the Kansas line. And most people have never even heard of Peckham, but that was my grade school, K through 8th. Small schools, small enough that at that time 2 grades were taught in one classroom. You had your first and second grade room, third and fourth grade room, that type of thing.
Didn't realize how good you had it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I remember panicking when I had to go to high school in Newkirk that I was going to the big school, and I had like 45 kids in my class, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So that's where I met my husband, was at Newkirk High School, and we both came to OSU for undergrad. He was pursuing a professional pilot's degree, and I was doing pre-med type work, and so I went to med school at OU College of Medicine down in Oklahoma City, and he got hired by a commuter airline at the time, and then went up through the ranks, and he now has been flying for Southwest Airlines for 25 years.
Southwest.
Yeah.
Party in the sky. That's that's the best one.
So he's based out of Dallas. That's one thing he always told me when we were going through training, was he said, while you're going to medical school residency, we can live wherever you need to be to get the training you need. He said, but when we settle down, I want to live in a hub so that I don't have to commute to and from work. I said, deal. And then
He jump on the deal. I fly out of Stillwater all the time.
Right. But Southwest does not have a hub in Stillwater, Oklahoma, for
No.
anybody that's wondering. But when it came right down to it, we had our first child before we were going to settle down for our long-term residence, and grandparents were still in Newkirk, and so being a little closer to them was really enticing because he's gone 3 or 4 days each week, and so we decided staying closer to home was more important than being close to his work. And so, he is
So you
commuting.
won on that.
So
deal.
I ended up winning on that as well. But so we've been here in Stillwater since 2007, and he commutes to and from Dallas about once a week.
What's your husband's name?
Dwayne Smith.
You should have fought harder, Dwayne.
Yeah.
No, we're glad she's here. I'm glad you lost that argument.
Right. But yeah, now our kids are grown. My daughter was 4 when we moved here. She's now going to be 23 this year. And my son was born here
Isn't
in
that
Stillwater.
crazy?
Yeah. And he's graduating high school. He's a senior at Ripley High School. And right now we're enjoying all his senior activities. He's on the baseball team over there and have a big Ripley tournament this weekend.
Very cool.
Yeah, working concession stands, things like that, or taking advantage of all those last opportunities for parent type activities.
So outside of the
then we'll be
doctor's
empty
coat, you're the
nesters.
regular mom that has to
Yeah.
volunteer for all the things just like everybody else.
Exactly. Yep. So a lot of outdoor type stuff. We like being on the lake and, take ski trips once a year or so and get in the mountains and occasionally go to the beach, just all the fun stuff. So
You ever go to Estes Park?
I've never been to Estes Park. No.
Man, it's cool. If you ever get up there, you got to check it out.
That's cool.
It is. It's pretty.
Yeah. So it's a lot of our parents are still on the farm, so we can go back up to Newkirk on occasion and help out where we can. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, so I'll kind of turn it over to you if you want to visit with them directly and just kind of tell them kind of anything that you want to tell them that I missed, and then we'll wrap it up.
Sure. I think one of the things that I hear that is the saddest about how people approach healthcare is there's so many folks who may be in a job that they absolutely detest, or feel like they're stuck there because the only way I can get insurance. I have to keep this job because I have to have insurance. There are so many more creative options out there for covering that, like I say, catastrophic, the what ifs, that I hope that alternative models like this, and then those that for the basic care, and then like say other models for the catastrophic coverage will become a little more popular and advertised.
Mainstream.
Yeah, people will know that they exist, so that people know they have options. You don't have to stick with that same job that you feel like is a dead end type of thing for your career, when what you really want to do is open your own business, because you're like, well, what am I going to do if my kids don't have health care or they don't have this insurance card? When in all reality, that insurance card doesn't mean isn't going to protect you from going bankrupt from healthcare expenses. So owe it to yourself to check out the different options that are out there. That may or may not include direct primary care. If it does, look up our number and give us a call. I'm happy to work with you. We even work with employers directly, because there's small entrepreneurs out there who they're fighting that battle too. They're trying to get the best candidates for their job, but they can't afford to provide traditional like Blue Cross Blue Shield or United Healthcare insurance. But they hear about direct primary care and they're like, hey, but I've got 5, 10, 15, 25, whatever employees. I could pay for them to have this type of coverage, and then they are able to provide that benefit to their patients.
Which 90% of people, this type of coverage is great for,
Yeah.
because you get the normal sickness now if you're chronically ill and have like huge problems, this probably isn't the best fit for you. But
depends on what you have paired with it. We have,
so you have options even for those people.
Well, yeah, like the majority of our patients still have insurance of some type.
Okay.
Like I say, whether that's Indian health benefits or traditional insurance or whatever. But the direct primary care aspect, like I say, if you've got a lot of chronic issues and you're never able to sit down with your doctor for more than 7 minutes at a time, you're just going to feel like you're spinning your wheels and not ever get anywhere with that.
Yeah.
For folks that need some extra time, like I say, my basic appointment time is 30 minutes, but we always tell people, if you need more time, tell us and we'll book you for an hour. So then somebody who really does have a lot of complex medical issues, we can spend the time with them to help coordinate their care. So we do a lot of routine, but also fairly complex chronic disease management too. So
there you have it. It sounds like you got all the bases covered, really.
We're pretty proud of what we have to offer. Like I say, not for everybody. When I was seeing patients in the insurance-based model, I had between 2,500 and 3,000 patients that were assigned to me through insurance, which feels a little overwhelming. Now in the direct primary care space, my patient panel is right about 750. And like I say, that's about where I probably will cap it. There's always a little bit of turnover here and there, but that is a whole lot more manageable to actually take care of folks rather than just be able to get them in for that 7.5 minute visit when they need it.
Well, I'll tell you, Angie Swear's a big fan.
We're lucky to have her.
She let me know. She was like, "You need to come over. More people need to know
Yeah.
about this because she's in 100%."
Yep, she's one of my biggest advocates. So, and she joined us almost 3 years ago now, I think. Well, this summer I think it'll be 3 years, and she was the same way. She worked in corporate medicine for a long time and just said, you know, I can't do it anymore, and I see what you're doing, and I want to join the team, and I'm so glad she did.
I love the idea behind it.
Yeah,
I like the country doctor black bag approach where it's like, you just have a person you deal with and they take care of you, and their job isn't to get as much of your money as possible. It's just to help you.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, there you have it. I mean, we always try to take the approach of giving you all the information straight from the doctor's mouth. You've heard what she has to offer and what they do over here at Pioneer Health in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Sounds like they have options for everybody. And you want to go ahead? That's fine. This isn't a big deal. We got phones going off. But anyway, no problem. Dr. Smith, you guys need to check it out. Pioneer Health over here in Stillwater. It sounds like a real viable option for a lot of people. Seems like they have something that fits just about everybody. I'm definitely going to get more information as soon as this clicks off. I appreciate you sitting and visiting with us. I know you're busy and you got a lot of stuff going on. But
no, it's all right. It's my favorite topic.
And Angie, good job. Angie's our Perry. She's a Danny Shade Show people, and she's over in Perry. And I just want to make sure that we tell her thank you for
big
getting
shout
us
out to
connected. Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Well, that wraps it up for us here. And if you like the content, just go ahead and drop a comment, like, and follow us. And if you know anybody else like Dr. Smith that's doing great things in her community for the people that she cares about, and you want to highlight them or maybe get the word out a little bit, contact us. And we'll do it. So you guys stay out there.